I wonder how many of you here have ever experienced depression or loneliness? You don't have to raise your hand, but you can if you want to. Today I'm going to share with you how I found myself in a pit of despair as a teenager, how I ended up there, and how I got out of it. And I'm sharing this today because I don't want anyone else to have to struggle alone like I did. I am here today as a loving mom and wife, as an artist, a musician, a skilled trauma healer, and a solo business owner. And I am committed to making this world a better place for my daughter, for all of your children, and all of their children. But it hasn't been an easy road to get here. I was about 15, getting changed in the locker room for gym class, when I felt the tears coming. It completely overwhelmed me, and once I started crying, I couldn't stop. Wave after wave of pent-up emotion just came pouring out. My mom was called in, and that was the day she learned that I had been cutting myself. I had been hiding the cutting by wearing long-sleeve shirts, but deep down, I desperately wanted someone to notice. I wanted to feel like someone cared enough to walk me back from the precipice that I was staring down. Growing up, I was always different, both at home and in school. And this left me wanting a sense of belonging that I just couldn't seem to find. My dad was in and out of the picture early on, and this left an abandonment imprint on me. Having a domineering stepdad and an emotionally absent mom created a lot of fear, shame, and loneliness. I also felt a lot of anger and sadness, theirs and my own. I was just a kid, but I learned to be hypervigilant about everything around me because there was so much that was out of my control. I got quiet and observant as a way to stay safe. Many of us do. And I got really good at reading people. I could look at someone and tell what they were thinking and feeling, and yes, I can still do that, just in case you're wondering. It was like if I could figure out what was going on in them, then maybe I could stay out of the danger zone of their anger or their rejection, and maybe even be liked and accepted. Maybe. So there I was at 15, hating pretty much everything about high school. I wore black all the time. My hair was dyed black. I had a permanent scowl on my face. I'm painting a picture here for you, right? And I also had a constant lump in my throat from holding back all of the emotions that I was experiencing because I had already learned that the world had no room for my sensitivities. After that day in gym class, my mom helped me find a therapist who I saw for a little while. Didn't really help. I also tried an antidepressant, and that did not feel right to me. So there was one night where I took all of the capsules and I emptied out all the powder. I'm not going to say what you might be thinking I'm going to say. I incorporated that powder into one of the many art projects that I was fervently making at the time. Never took it again. It was a relief to get support from my mom and to share with her about what was going on. I did stop cutting, but the loneliness and the depression were still quite present. One of the pivotal moments for me during that time was when I decided to focus on my art instead of going out for another season with the field hockey team. And this was a really difficult decision for me to make because I had been trying to please other people my whole life. Making art and writing poetry saved me, literally. It became a need. It was a place where I could reconcile and wrestle with all of these deep, dark feelings I was having. And it was also a space of experimentation in which I couldn't do it wrong. Art became a way to turn my pain into beauty. I would spend hours and hours in my basement studio at home, writing, painting, drawing, sculpting, just pouring my heart and soul into something. and inevitably listening to some kind of sad or angsty music as my soundtrack. It's high school, you know. And in the spaces, the creative spaces that I was then occupying more and more, I found a place of acceptance and belonging that I so needed. In new friends and classmates and teachers were people who wanted to know me for me. They wanted to see and hear what I was creating. And this was very healing for me after so many years of feeling like an outcast. Many years later, living in San Francisco, I began to pursue alternative healing methods that I found deeply fascinating. And I ended up enrolling in a practitioner training program, which put me on the path to becoming the healer that I am today. I got to share some pretty out there stuff with an amazing group of women. And in that space, I found another level of belonging and acceptance that my soul really needed on a deep level. So now, I have the joy and the honor of supporting other people through their dark pasts, through their painful experiences and out the other side, so that they can come home to themselves and create lives of joy and fulfillment like I have. I continue to invest in my own healing because it is a lifelong process. And I'm able to be so present with the people that I serve because I'm walking that path too. One of the most important way that I bring my presence into my life is in how I parent my 5-year-old daughter. Because it is so important to me, and it's so important for her to experience support in her emotions, in knowing it's okay to feel what we feel, in exploring who she is, and expressing herself freely. And by being able to support her in that, I'm giving her something that I didn't have when I was growing up. Right now, I want to invite you, just for a moment, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. And I invite you to imagine that you're living in a world where you feel completely accepted, 100%, every part of you, by every person in your life, your family, all your family members, whether they're alive or not, your friends, coworkers, colleagues. And now I invite you to imagine what it would be like to create a world like that for our children, so that maybe we can spare them from some of the pain that we've experienced. When you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes, and I want to invite you just to look around the room, to see each other, and to see and feel what is possible right here, right now. My early years were difficult, especially as a highly sensitive person, but I've learned how to turn those sensitivities into superpowers. And in closing, I want to invite you to remember that whatever is in the way is the way. And what's waiting for us on the other side, what's waiting for us and our children on the other side, might just be more beautiful than we can imagine. Thank you.